All right, y'all. I just got done watching the entirety of the interview, the podcast, conversation with Cam Newton and Dr. Cheyenne. Salute to Dr. Cheyenne for coming on there. Very beautiful, attractive, intelligent woman, very well spoken for. I like the way how she processed information. She's obviously a professional, and she was able to compartmentalize the separation between her personal and professional, and even, as she liked to utilize the term, hybrid, blend both views together. That is something I enjoy to do as well, to my highest levels of capabilities and functionalities, based on my exposures and experiences. So, as a intellectual person, I really enjoyed that. Then I would like to say salute to Cam Newton for being willing to put himself in the line of fire. Yes, I want to say salute to Cam Newton for being a martyr, for being a sacrificial lamb. I know those are some extreme terminologies. And I would like to also acknowledge Cam Newton, how he had acknowledged the value of his partner and how she is making a tremendous impact, not only as him as a man, but also as a father to his other children that he had prior to her. I'm not sure if people caught on to that, as well as how he continued to respect his partner when the doctor decided to put lip gloss on at the end of the show, and she asked him, how do the lip gloss look on her lips? And he said respectfully, he said it looks cool, it looks nice. And he also looked away and looked down, because he wasn't seeking to lust over her, because he is in a committed relationship. So I like that. That was dope. And I like some of his pushback, but sometimes his pushback did seem to be filtered by, I don't want to say biasness, but like his own experiences. But that's okay, because he was saying things that were very relatable to some of us, at least me. Or you could say, like, maybe he observed stuff, so let's start with the first part as I watched it in chronological order, not just the clip. Now, the viral clip is what got all of us interested, intrigued and stuff, and wanted us to watch it. She mentioned about in her therapy sessions that a lot of the men that she had been of service to, they were willing and trying their best to do their best to be the best that they can be with each level of understanding that they had, but their mind and their heart was in the right place. Their mind and their heart was in the right place, with what they were attempting to do or doing. I don't want to say attempting, but doing. She mentioned that some of the women had disillusioned or fantasied of what they believed their partner could and should be. But the man, despite how amazing he is, was not able to fulfill all her expectations of what she wanted out of him based on her fantasy. So when he wasn't able to amount to what she imagined he can be within the time frame that she wanted him to be, she now began to see this man a lesser value. Let's put a pause on this part of the conversation. We're now here to discuss the examples of some women who've stuck with a man who was abusive, like in infidelities, and we're not here to discuss those things. That is not the topic that is being discussed at the moment, okay? We're not talking about men who was struggling with drug addiction and gambling his family life away, which we know women deal with drug addiction. As she mentioned, her mother was an addict. Women could struggle with gambling issues. You know, the same things that men can struggle with, women can struggle with and do struggle with as well. Why? Because we're both human. We just have different functionalities in our body parts, and maybe I'm not a scientist in the way that we're wired to respond. See, I don't know. I don't know, and I do not mind saying I don't know. Am I willing to learn? Yes. Now, back to stay focused. But the man was written off by his wife because he didn't appear to be who she wanted him to be when she wanted him to be. So, that was one part. Now, of course, when Cam Newton started talking about, you know, taking a little bit of a defensive response to the terminology broken family, when he acknowledged having 8 children by 3 different women, I agree with the doctor. I'm a product of broken families. I done created broken families. And she's saying, like, in this context of what you're sharing with me, you're a great father. You just, because of your choices, you have contributed to the narrative of broken families. Now, I have to have, I don't want to say pushback, but a response of not necessarily towards the doctor, but for the general audience watching. It's important for us to still put things in context. You know, I can imagine or assume that Cam Newton, who grew up with his parents, who had 3 children by the first woman he was with, imagined they were going to continue to be in a relationship together. Even though the woman that he had children with may not have been exactly like his mother, who he probably, and I want to say this is all probably, made the assumption that other women wanted who he was, which was a reflection of what he saw from his mom and dad. I just want to assume that he heard these scenarios and he said, hey, I went the opposite direction of my upbringing. I did the opposite of what my dad suggested I do or showed me to do, because I was curious about this and that third. And I want to assume that what he did was, regardless of his intention, he went into a world that wasn't aligned up with the world he was raised in, and he tried to bring those principles to those people, thinking that's what they wanted, and he had to learn the hard way that is not what they wanted. Not in that package form. They were not seeking to be that type of person. And just for the sake of, because, you know, I can't explain every explanation, because I've learned in therapy, I do not like feeling misunderstood, because it's the equivalent of me not feeling like I can't breathe. And then sometimes I start trying to overcompensate when I feel misunderstood, and it makes it even more complicated. So shout out to therapy. Shout out to Dr. Rob Mcclish, where I was afforded free therapy for over a year, and I'm seeking to return when it's feasible for me. Because of the Father and Family Support Center in St. Louis, which from my understanding is the #1 father initiative program in the world. So, if you're still with me in this video, because you get to the point where I just got done watching a 2.5 hour conversation. I'm not going to be 2.5 hours. I'm probably going to be closer to 20 minutes or so. Maybe a little bit under, a little bit over. But then let's say Cam Newton was hopeful again. Because Cam Newton, somewhere in his mind and heart, values family. Just like he participates in the football camps and stuff. Like, you listen to Cam, you can see some parts of him where you can sense it could be considered an asshole. But if you really listen to him, you see a kind-hearted person who means well, who has good intention. That's what I perceive. I don't know him personally, but this is when I pick up on energies in interviews and stuff like that. And, you know, it's not like anybody saying anything bad about his character. You know, his person, you know, you may not like parts of his personality, but you don't hear anything bad said about his character. And what people like about people's personalities is subjective. You know what I'm saying? He's obviously more of a alpha male than a beta. Like, he's a leader. He was raised to be a leader. He probably likes to be in control of the situation. I mean, he was a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? His objective is to make sure everybody's in position. He's a quarterback who partners with his coach on making the best choice and decisions for the team to win. So that's just me looking at it if I had to create a digestible analogy for myself to understand. And Cam was able to be attracted to a woman, and another woman was attracted to him, despite whatever he appeared to have gone through in previous life experiences, still saw value within him. Enough value that she was willing to be with him despite the scrutiny that comes along with that, and all the assumptions and the past mistakes or whatever. She still saw value. And maybe she saw the value because not only because she still saw him as a high functioning individual, maybe in comparison to the other people she's been around, but also she saw value in him. It could have been status, his money, or did the status and money help draw light to the other factors? You know, I don't know. Now, the parallels between some of our lives. Shout out to Cam Newton for being a voice and an advocate and putting yourself out there in the line of fire for now people to be willing to see more of your flaws than your upside. I feel a little emotional saying that myself because I've been married. I had children with women I was married to. It didn't work because I was a bad dad or a bad husband. They changed their mind about how they felt about seeing the significance of remaining in relationship with me. I ain't say I was perfect. I didn't say I was a goody two shoes. I didn't say I did everything right or said everything right. I was a young man in his 20s doing the best with what I had, with what I knew. I grew up in very dysfunctional households, plural households. The first home I was in, I ain't gonna say it was always like this, but from my highest level of remembrance, much instability, alcohol, domestic violence, police, social workers. This is what I can remember going through from at least the ages of 3 to 4 up until 8. So that's at least 4 straight years that I can remember. Then my father and his wife gets custody of me, or my father legally had got custody of me, and he was with this woman. I did not know my parents were in custody battle. I do remember them asking me who would I like to live with. I remember saying my mom, and to her, and then my dad, I say I don't know, because even though I was little, I was conscious of not wanting to hurt his feelings. I remember that. But I spent more time with my mom than my dad. You know, when my mom would take me to my spend night with my dad, who stayed with his parents, he would be at work. But when he wasn't at work, he would be out with other women. Because my grandparents were watching me. My grandmother and my grandfather, who were both very active in my life during those periods I was spending time with them. I didn't spend much time like my father's sisters and them. Like, I spent some, but not that was equivalent to let me get some water. I just had something that's full of sodium, and I'm talking about, we're not supposed to have more than 2,000 milligrams of sodium. I just had something that had 1,600 milligrams of sodium, and I never really read it until today. So that one piece of food just already gave me over nearly half my daily sodium intake. So either way, I went to go live with my father at 8, and between 8 to 13, my father and his wife were very abusive. They used to beat on me very frequently, oftentimes till my body would have blood come out of those areas they were hitting on. And you're like, okay, what did you do to get a whooping? I'm not against physical discipline. I've done it, spanked my children, popped them on the butt or something. But no, this was abuse. There's multiple layers to that. The last beating in this particular scenario from his wife, I had 2 black eyes, 2 huge knots in my head. My whole face was swollen, and I was kept out of school for at least 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, because it was too bad for me to go back to school. And you're like, okay, why did they do that then? Because people gonna say that. She was beating me in the head with a ladle for almost an hour, because I remember looking at the clock like, man, this shit is lasting forever. Because I had C's and D's. Now, granted, I used to be an honor roll student, so I'll leave that here. I was an honor roll student, but it's obviously something that changed. I hope I don't have to go deep into details about what happened. So you got the first 4 years, and then the next 4 years, from 8 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 4.5, 5 years, I'm with my father, and while I'm going through these just disgusting levels and layers of childhood abuse. Not only physical, of course, that coincides with mental and emotional, and the way they used to speak to me and call me stupid, dumb, the B word, the F word, slow. These are words that, as I was a little kid, these 2 adults was sewn into my spirit. You dumb, you slow, you this, you that. I never understood why they talked to me like that, but that's how they spoke to me. And then, of course, you got all these people like, oh, get over it. Yeah. This is the first 13, well, this is the big chunk of the first 13 years of my life of existence. Then I got put in state custody due to the abuse. And then I go from being in an abusive household in a decent neighborhood. So now they put me in a group home in the hood of North St. Louis. Shout out to Echo Children's Home, which no longer exists, but it was off Euclid and Labadie. I go from going to Cross Keys Middle School to now I'm in Langston Middle. Shout out to St. Louis Public Schools and the teachers. It was a whole different world. People like, kids nowadays, no, kids was all chained back then. I remember little girls being 12, 13 years old, bringing knives to school to fight girls who was trying to talk to their man. Like, your man, you a kid. I remember being conscious of this growing up. Then that group home didn't work out because though I wasn't there for behaviors, I did start to act out. Didn't know where my mama was. Nobody calling me, checking on me. And I ain't saying that they knew where I was. I don't know. But either way, I'm in this facility. I don't want to be in a facility. I just don't want to be beat on no more. I just wanted a normal life. I just wanted to go to a house, have some dinner, play outside with my friends, go to school, play some video games, or something. Just maybe have a dog or something. Just something normal. Well, what the fuck is normal, And then I get put out that home, and then I go to another home that's less restrictive, but I didn't work the program. I was 14 years old, like I said, and I wasn't like one of the kids who will fight or nothing. I was just a little oppositional stubborn. I didn't trust adults, and I really didn't trust people who look like me, because that's who all I've been around all my life, and that's who hurt me the most, particularly when it came to females. They were always like picking at even the staff members at home, like picking at my masculinity, picking at my personality, telling me I'm bad, telling me I'm this. I'm not blaming all black women. I'm just saying what my experience was. I'm not here to compare my life to yours. I'm just telling you my experience. Typically the men's staff were laid back and chilled. You got some that wanted to prove more to you how tough they were, or they was in control or something, but typically the men's staff was more laid back and chilled. They'll talk to you once. If they had to say it to you again, but that third warning was like, all right, Jason, but most times the dudes are cool. You get to play basketball with them, you get to play video games, engage, you set the tone for the rules. Hey, this is what we doing for today, this is how we gotta, we're gonna get through, we're gonna keep everything cool. For me, the female staff sometimes used to be just nitpicking that shit, just like, oh, what you doing, why you talking back, oh, who you think you I'm telling you, people do not just be making this shit up when they be telling y'all these examples. This is what the fuck I experienced. So this is my experience. Not one time did you hear me have much of a good relationship with females yet. Not because I woke up and I chose violence. I'm talking about what I'm being exposed to in my developmental years. And these are multiple women in different capacities. Then, I remember this one woman told me, staff members, Miss Cheryl Snowden, that I had a problem with black women in authority. And I remember she told me that. Maybe I did. I don't know. My stepmother was a black woman in authority who beat the shit out of me a lot and used to call me and touch me inappropriately and stuff. But, that was my experience. And then we go to another group home. So now this is my third home in my third year of being removed from a household that I was being beat on 5 straight years, which is now almost 9 years removed from a home that I was in for 4 years that I can account for. I've seen a lot of instability, police, social working, alcohol abuse, domestic violence. And at this point, I'm only 14, 15 years old. So then I get put out that home. And the crazy part, I remember when I got put out the home, I just got home from school, and my therapist, Dave, said, oh, you got to pack your stuff, you're being discharged. I'm like, why? Because I had just, even though I've been there for a year, or maybe almost a year, I just started getting comfortable enough to feel safe to work the program. I accepted, okay, this is my home, this is my neighborhood, this is my community, this is my school. You know what I'm saying? Even though I had no friends, I used to sit by myself, I wasn't good at sports, whatever, but I finally came to terms, I like this neighborhood. I was living in Creve Coeur, going to Parkway Northeast. And Parkway North, it was a nice school. It was a lot of white people, and I did not have a cultural connection to most of the people, but it felt like a safe neighborhood. And I just wanted to feel safe. I never felt safe before. I just never felt safe. That's why I got so good at conflict resolution, because I foresee, in some cases, unsafe things, and I tried to address it head on. And I remember they said I had to go. So that's group home number 2. Then I go to group home number 3, Alcover Parkway, to now I'm in Normandy. Once again, school was metal detectors, people fighting, a lot of gang affiliation. You know, later I learned, because it's 24 different neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? I ain't from that life. You know what I'm saying? I had exposures, been around it, but I was never in it. And with that being said, now I'm in another group home. Now I'm back where, like, the black kids like gotta be tough. I'm back where the black kids gotta fight. I know you're like, I'm back with the black kids. Like, I'm back into shit that I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't feel embraced by nobody, whether I don't give a damn about the race, but I'm just saying, I'm back in the neighborhood. I'm back in an area where people were throwing up their sets in their neighborhoods. And I'm just a kid trying to be a kid. But I'm getting older and never have an opportunity just to be a kid. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to learn this finger shit, this gang shit, this block shit, this neighborhood shit. Nigga, I just want to live a life. I want to live. Hopefully one day get married. You know what I'm saying? Have a family. Like, this is what I'm thinking. I'm like, why do I got to go through all this shit just to go to school? You know, like, fuck. Haven't I been through enough, nigga? You know what I'm saying? So then, you got that. So at this point, I know how to get out of a home. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm getting out this bitch. I don't know where I'm going. But now I go there. I'm starting off. I'm ending my 9th grade year. Notice this journey started with me mentioning kindergarten. All this shit started from kindergarten, so now I'm 9th grade. Have you heard a break in between kindergarten and 9th grade with like a good thing in my life? No, you have not. No. And I'm not even as detailed, you know what I'm saying? Because this would be a 90,000 hour fucking documentary series, you know what I'm saying? But this is leading up to me wanting to be becoming a husband and father and looking like Cam Newton, you know, similar to him. So I'm not saying like Cam's a bad thing, I'm just telling you. So now I'm in 9th grade, and then I get to acting out this song because I'm tired of being in these fucking homes. I did nothing to be in these homes. I did nothing to be in these facilities where they lock doors. I did nothing. I did nothing. Somebody did something to me, and now I'm consequence for their choices because I did not have parents who stood up and took control of the situation of my life. Or when the other parent who was abusive, like whatever the case. Because people gonna hear this, oh, honor your mother and father. I'm not down there, man. Especially my mom. I love my mom. Man, we are so fucking cool compared to where it was, because she never gave up, even when I appeared to be on the other side of my life. So salute to my mama for that. I appreciate my mama for that. You know, in a lot of ways, I still appreciate my dad because he was willing to hear me out and just say sorry. And when he said sorry, what I appreciate about it was, I'm not judging him, but I'm able to acknowledge how I thought and felt was legitimate. You know what I'm saying? And that meant a lot to me with my dad, you know, with that time period. So then I get put out that home, and they wanted to send me a little bit further out because I didn't seem to be working no program. Now I wasn't, because I was considered oppositional. Then I go from that home to another home because my social worker, Jennifer Scotty, had advocated on my behalf to not go nowhere. She was this little bitty white lady who used to be my tutor, who coincidentally became my social worker. I was her first case on her desk. So, you know, her standing up for me when she was able to be around me made a big difference. She never gave up on me. She never quit. I wasn't her only client. I'm older, so I can put things in perspective, but she always made me feel like she cared. I don't care how crazy I talked, what I said, she saw me for who I really was. She knew the circumstances of my life and how that played a part into my behaviors. I wasn't a bad kid. I had bad circumstances. And to this day, that is why I don't like to write people off. Because people wrote me off without even knowing my story, without even knowing the context of who I was at the time they met me. And I'm saying that because I can only assume it ain't just me. This happens to many of us. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I ended up going to another group home. Mine was in Florissant area. It was called Mary Grove. It was in a better neighborhood than I was in the previous one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was I don't remember what level it was. Like, they could lock the doors, you know what I'm saying, they want to in your bedroom. You can't just walk off the door, you know what I'm saying, because Lord knows if I can walk off. And I just used to walk off to go cool off. I wasn't walking off to run away. I have nowhere to go, you know what I'm saying, but I will fucking walk off on your ass when I'm upset. If I can leave, I am going to fucking leave, because I'm not being stuck in this shit. But I always enjoy fresh air. I need just time to cool off and de-escalate, you know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I don't want to do nothing or say nothing wrong or anything that reflect what I saw growing up. So, you know what I'm saying, I always heard, well, you know, just walk away. Like when I used to see domestic violence, they would say, well, the man should just walk away. The man should just walk away. So what the fuck you think I'm trying to do? Walk away, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So, but I you know what I'm saying? So when I was at home, I could have just walked away. But I didn't really, I wasn't too bad for the program. But I wasn't working the program. Like if it's level 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm pretty much on level 2. You know what I'm saying? Like it's either 2 or 1. I'll make it to 3 for a second, but I ain't doing enough to sustain 3 to make it a 4. And it's really because the shit that they was offering, I didn't give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? I didn't give a fuck about, you know, an extra $1 on my allowance. Nigga, for what? Wow, so I can still stay on this campus, nigga? like you're level 1, you get $1 a week. Level 2, $2. Level 3, $3 level. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and that's another thing teach you a lesson. Everybody is fueled and incentivized by different things. I didn't really have friends. I was always to myself, even in the group homes. So, you know, I ain't got no relationship with my family members. None of them at that time. I'm not talking to nobody. Like, people's not putting things in context. I didn't talk to people who were allegedly related to me for damn near a decade of my life. Maybe every once in a while they pop in and out or something, but I didn't talk to these people. I wouldn't even get calls on my motherfucking birthday. But I'm in this home, I'm just skating through. I'm going to Hazelwood Central, which that was a whole different environment, dynamic of a community in itself. I couldn't understand why people there. Here I go, coming from Langston Middle, Rap Bunch, International Studies over there near Yateman at the time, over near not too far from Newstead, from the Prince Hall building. Then going to Normandy, and I'm with these niggas who was born and raised in Florissant, acting like they Bloods and Crips. I'm like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because being from Florissant don't make you less of a man, but back then I felt like they had some of those guys had to emulate what they thought was being tough. One, because the girls liked certain type of guys back then. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I wasn't into that. You know what I'm saying? So I go to Hazelwood Central. I ain't got no friends still. I'm in the group home. I remember having embarrassing moments where when a girl did think I was cute, then she'd start talking to me, ask me questions, and I let her know where I live, and then she go, where your mama, where your daddy, why you in the home, you bad? You know what I'm saying? It's like this constant reinforcement of being dissected, judged, and considered in a box of not good enough. But one day, while I'm in the home, just minding my business, I don't know exactly what happened or how or why, but one day my big brother, he showed up. My big brother Mark, he showed up. He was like, I think maybe 22, 23. I don't remember. Shit. But he showed up to start picking me up for whole passes. And I was able to leave for the weekends for the first time in 4 years. So him showing up and picking me up, what it did was, it gave me a focal point. It gave me an incentive, because I don't know if I had to be on level 3 to go home on passes, but I knew I couldn't be on level 1. You know what I'm saying? You can put on, if you're on level 1, you can't leave for a weekend pass. So it gave me an incentive. It gave me something to work towards, because if I wanted to go home, I had to be respectful. I had to follow rules. I had to follow the directions. You know what I'm saying? Even when the staff or a peer or somebody said something like, I had to learn to turn the other cheek, because now I had something to work towards. I had something to work for. I had something. And I had somebody who showed me they cared in a way that resonated with me. You know, plus he was a connection to my mama. Who I had to see much of since 1992. Since I was 8 years old. He was connected to my sister, even though we had different dads. I ain't seen much of her since that moment either. You know, I saw her last for real. She was in kindergarten, I was in 2nd grade. So, you know, and my brother was somebody I always looked up to, you know, like a little brother do. Thought he was cool. I wanted to be just like him. In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways I learned I don't want to be like him. But it's not a bad thing. We just different personality. You know, I'm Aquarius, you're a Capricorn. You know what I'm saying? It's just we're just different. You know, he's more to the bottom line. You know, he's more about his money. He's not like a money hungry person, but and this is a important thing in this conversation. He's more to the bottom line of certain things, but he may come off more emotionally sensitive. For me, I'm probably more emotionally sensitive than he is, but I don't care about money. So I'm not anti-money. I just want to feel about money. So if I sought money, it was only because it appears to be what people care about, who I care about. So that's why I said putting things in proper context. So the conversation between Cam Newton and Dr. Cheyenne wasn't wrong, but you can't squeeze every intricate detail in that 2.5, 3 hour session. That's why, like in therapy, you got to keep going back over and over and over and over and over again until you unpack layers. So now I get to go home out of group home. Now I've been institutionalized for 4 straight years. I go live with my brother. So in the group homes, we get snack, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My brother young, man. This nigga that has shit in the house but fucking noodles and chips. like I'm talking about, he didn't give a fuck. Like, I used to have to take medicine, you know, in the group home, go down over bipolar 2. Manic depression and oppositional defiance disorder. So they had me on medicine. He didn't give a fuck if I took that shit or not, man. That nigga probably like, man, you don't need that shit, man. You alright? He probably look back at it now and be like, I should have made this nigga take his medicine. No, but because I didn't really do much. I wasn't acting out, but you know what I'm saying? He was young. So that's why putting everything in its proper context is important. So now I'm at the point where my brother, who's not too far removed from being in high school, is still hanging out almost every day with his friends from high school. You know, some of them had kids and girlfriends and stuff. You know, this is the part of their journey at. But my brother was like the first one who had his own house. So everybody conjugated over there. And they were still living with their parents and shit. You know, everybody in their early 20s though. So, you know, that put a lot of pressure. Your brother, like, got that going on, and then people looking at you, they're not even considering who I am as an individual and everything I got going on. And my brother went through a lot of shit too. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, he can tell his story if he want to, but he gonna tell you, I don't give a fuck about telling my story. It don't fucking matter. Even though I think his story can help other people, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's not who he is. This is who I am. So, like, this nigga would never get caught dead on camera choosing to tell a story and getting moments of crying. This nigga would see this. If he want to, he gonna either call me a B word, F word. What everybody gonna talk about toxic masculinity, whatever. But come on, man, let's be realistic about who we are, where we from, and the people we're around. Nobody's perfect, but they display their love in different ways. With that being said, he had like 100 friends. If you went to Mcclish and knew my brother's friends, you already know it's like 1,000 of those dudes, man. Like it's like a core group, and then it's multiple groups that broke into groups, and then they whatever. It was like a bunch of them at that time. And 99.9% of them used to sit around calling me bees, the F word, just talk bad to me. And I guess that's what they call showing love, but that was that was contrary to what I actually needed at that time. Because if you listen to everything I went through prior, it's like, bitch, I thought this was my safe space. You know what I'm saying? So that was another place. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be safe, but it's not safe. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be loved. 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 Like I just said, I saw me the little me just need to be hugged by my mama. It just rocked back and forth. But she is not there. When I mean there, my mom mentally was not there. Like, I mean, when I got reintroduced to her, if I thought she was crazy back in the late 80s, early 90s, in the early 2000s, it was even crazier. People who I met were living in Glasgow Village when I started going to Riverview Gardens Senior High School, who been in my house back then, knows. You know what I'm saying? 180 now. Now, I got to put this context. 2024 is a 180. Now, notice not one time that I had ever mentioned in this story how I got the opportunity to unpack my trauma. I have a safe space to heal and unload all this shit that I'm telling you. That's right now only at 45 minutes. I done took my life in 45 minutes to tell you about it and how that coincides with Cam Newton's great, I think it was an award-winning episode. I mean, we thought Cat Williams with Shannon Sharp could be award-winning. No. I think this one was even better. Not to compare in a competition way, but just what it does to push the conversation forward. So once again, Cam, I salute you. You know what I'm saying? I may not like everything about you, may not agree. I don't really dislike anything about you. I'm just saying, like me coming up the way I did, the way I will engage in conversation, communication may differ than other things are similar. But I felt like I sensed your heart and your spirit and your intent behind it. And it was well-meaning in the way that you were willing to put yourself out there, which is inspiring me to continue to put myself out there, because if it helps not only myself but help others, then let it be. So I'm coming here as a support to you, Cam, and I'm not going to just talk surface levels interaction. And to Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I believe, I salute you because I empathize with your upbringing and what all that you had to go through to get to where you're at today. So I salute you, and I agree with nearly everything, if not everything you said. It's just the context of how we get to where we at wasn't quite and it's not your fault. You're only working with a certain time dynamic, and you're trying to say something that's impactful and important for your community, as well as you're a woman and you got the right to defend that. Like I understand all the nuances in the, you know what I'm saying? I'm a stand-up comedian. I've done filming work. I know his levels. So I get it. Time and stuff. He tried to hit all your points, and then Cam, he got his what he thought he was gonna say, then his brain sparked, and you know, did it go somewhere else? And I get it to my best understanding. But then you got that, and the part that got touchy to me, like I mentioned earlier, when she mentioned the therapy sessions with the men and the women, and how the men, you know, already was deeply in love with their wives and wanted to make her happy, wanted to be all these different things for her, but he's human. He's not God. He's a human, just like she's a human. And then some of the women had went in there with these fantasies and expectations and the desires for this man that he wasn't able to perform to at that moment. So now imagine us in our young age making choices and how it comes back to us later. So I had my first daughter as a teenager. Now I love my daughter, and I'm happy she's here. Now, her mom, we were kids. We met at a fast food place, and I actually liked another girl there, but I was shy. I was very shy. I wasn't even used to girls liking me like that or talking to me or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to put the female on the pedestal, like she the prize. And I'm like, now I'm like, damn, wait, every one of you motherfuckers think you're a prize now, bitch? Like everybody did some participation? No, but I just, you know, because I guess maybe that's what I just imagined what a woman was and could be when I was a kid. And that don't mean that she can't be and she not. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about, but I came in the game like, I want to be in love. I want to buy flowers. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be a husband. I'm talking about, I want to be a dad. I want to have a business. You know what I'm saying? You know, that was my childhood that was my childhood fantasy. I guess I wanted what I never had, you know? And, but instead my daughter's mother was more assertive. You know, whatever she found interested in me, so I start spending time with her. And that girl was like, boom, in my face, like calling me, everything. But I didn't really like her like that. I didn't dislike her. I just didn't like her like that. So why would you have a baby by her? Why are you asking an 18-year-old kid why he make a dumbass decision? You see what I had to do right there? Why you have a baby? Why did you ask an 18-year-old kid, with everything that I already expressed to you up until that moment, why did he make a dumbass decision? You know what I thought? I was gonna get her pregnant, have a baby, and raise it on as my own. And I was just gonna have her to myself. I wanted something to love, that'll love me back, that I can look back and be proud of. Now, why would I think a female, because she wasn't a woman back then, I wasn't a man. Why would I think a female would carry a child for 9 months? And we know some women do, but why would I think that a woman would just let me have my baby? Next, now she was off the chain. Just like I said, she was started over my face, even though she had a boyfriend. See, I know she had a boyfriend when me and her hooked up, and he messed around on her, and she was trying to get back at him. Once she stayed in the city, I stayed in the county. And a part of the county I stayed in, which she referred to as suburbs. It wasn't like the glamorous part of the suburbs, but the suburbs still not. And I didn't know part of her reasoning for messing with me, not saying she didn't like me, but it was like to transition from one guy to the next, because her previous boyfriend had just hurt her feelings by getting caught cheating. You know, now granted, we're all kids, but now these are my life experiences that are influencing my perspectives and my approaches to life. Now I'm still hopeful, because in my mind, I still want to treat a woman the way I wish my mom was treated. Because I used to think if my mama was just loved and this, she wouldn't have been this way and done this and done this and done this. So then I go from that to I'm like, nah, I ain't having no more kids. People look back at me today like, well, that nigga ain't around no more. But then I meet this woman. We met online on Black Planet. She referred to herself as Truthful Miss 314. I like that word, truthful. Okay, I thought that meant transparency. Because when I think of keeping it real, I think of keeping it all the way real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought she was pretty attractive. She was a plus size woman, very stylish, didn't have to use a lot of money to make her feel good or look good. You know, she had natural hair. You know, I thought she was very pretty. You know, it wasn't much about her I didn't like on the eye. We get to hanging out together. You know, shouldn't have been alone, because at this point I became a Christian. I used to be an atheist. I shouldn't have been alone with no female. She was a big girl with a big booty. I did not listen to Bell Biv DeVoe at all when he said never trust a big butt and a smile. And I don't mean like she was untrustworthy, but I'm just saying, like, I set myself up. Like, I set myself up. You know, so we alone, we get to making moves, and then we get to doing whatever we doing, thinking we grown, because we are over 20 at this point, where we're over 18, 20, 22 years old or so. And, you know, while we doing it, she goes, I want to have your baby. Like, I think that this was like the first woman that I ever had sex with that just flat out said, I want to have your baby. I don't think I ever had a woman say before her, I want to have your baby. She goes, I want to have your baby. Wow, my penis is in her at the age of 22 years old. And guess what I did? I unloaded in that. That's not me gargling dick. That's my sperm being released off my penis. Now I used to keep my daughter, my firstborn, with me a lot. You know, I did keep it with her a lot. But in this scenario situation, now I'm like, now I get to have a family. Now I am still living in my brother's basement. We done moved to a big house. You know, I pretty much got the entire basement myself, which is kind of crazy because him as a homeowner, I should have had a little small space. Like just my room, but I had the whole basement, and he just had his room. Like, shout out to my brother Mark for not setting appropriate boundaries. Rules and regulations, because he assumed I thought the way he thought, which is a lesson in itself. Sometimes I assume people thought the way I thought, right? And what ended up happening is I had that baby, and I decided I don't want to contribute to broken black families. I'm going to marry her. And I asked her dad permission for me to marry her. You know, I don't know, that's what Felicia want to do, you know what I'm saying? Now, her father was, what I was told, was a very abusive man to not only her when she was younger, but also her mother. But her mother never had the courage to get up and go. And her children, unfortunately, had to witness her being abused by their dad. Now, I don't want to say, I know that sounds insensitive because of all the different things, but it's the thing. I wasn't an abusive person, but her mother encouraged her to leave me because I was deemed as broke when I was 23, 24 years old, that I didn't make enough money. At the time, I was a youth care worker, and Felicia eventually told me that her mother, when she asked her mom, well, why didn't you leave dad? She goes, well, because he's a provider. So, come on, we're seeing this. So, I'm a youth care worker. I'm really just getting started out in the world, but my intention is there. I'm going to be a husband, a father, take care of my family. I'm going to keep going and growing. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. But then, someone decided to make a choice of leaving me. They did not want to continue to do this thing called life with me no more for whatever their reasons. From what I was told by her at that time, I was a great husband and father. I wasn't perfect, but she could do bad all by herself. And with the remaining years of her life, she pretty much did bad all by herself, listening to other people. Then, what ended up happening is I reconnect with this girl I always wanted to be with since high school. We lived in Glasgow Village together. Everybody knew I always liked her. I talked about her all the time, outside of the fact when I was married for that brief moment to the first woman I was married to. And when I had an opportunity to pursue her, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go for who I wanted and what I wanted in life. And I left out of my comfort zone, and I pursued her. She was a single mom at the time. You know, she had a daughter while she was in college. And, you know, at first, you know, it's not as fast as it sounds when I'm telling this story within this long-winded video. But, you know, what came to that point was I got with her, even though it affected my ability to engage with my children I had from previous relationships at the time. This is all before the age of 28. You're like, woo, this is a lot. Yeah, I know. But we get together. I'm in love. I'm proud of my choice, but it's conflict because I've had children with my first wife, and I never intended to have children with a woman that I didn't plan to be with outside of when I had one as a kid, but not as an adult. It's hard, but I'm gonna do my best to be my best to make it work, especially because I'm assuming this person who knew I had children already, and I knew she had a child already, we're in this together. Like, we're going to work through this. We're going to back each other up. Like, when her child's father had issues, I didn't mind being a mediator. You know, of course, I'm going to ride with my wife, because I ended up getting remarried. I'm gonna ride with my wife in the public, but in private I'm gonna be like, yeah, nah, you kind of wrong, you know, or maybe you could do this. It's important for your daughter to be around her dad, regardless of what you think about what he did or didn't do. Because plus it was things she did, but he don't know. But I know that because she was my friend first. Big pause on that one. But I mean pause as in, you know, moment of reflection. So things about her that I known because she was my friend first. Now I didn't know her while she was involved with that guy. Like I didn't know her in that way. I never got to know her physically until we were adults. But growing up, no. We may have kids here and there as being kids and teenagers, you know, doing stuff. I did used to put some hickeys on her neck because she was hella yellow. You know what I'm saying? She was yellow, not red, yellow. so the thing about it is, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying she was yellow. But you know, I just think about it, you leave hickeys on her neck. Well, I was one of them people. The thing about it is, no, that was petty. That was petty. But either way, I was very instrumental in making sure her daughter maintained a relationship with her father, even though we were in two different cities, about 4 hours apart. Because I was still as much as I could be involved in the circumstances, getting my children, and obviously because of my experiences growing up, I understood the importance of having not just a father, but your parents, either a parent. We have children. I remember what happened today that J-Lo's made. Usually I'll say, hey, I'm about to come. She'll hop off. But this particular day, she plopped down. She plopped down, and she didn't just plop down. She sat there. Down. I ain't mad at it because I love her. I love her. I didn't think I was going to be having children with another woman because shit don't be working out for me like that. But this is different. This is different because I love her. And she loves me. Maybe I should just stop at I love her. You know what I'm saying? So I love her, and I'm like, you know what? I know this sounds out of order to say this. I'm gonna just trust God to work it all out. Give me an opportunity for it to work out. So now I'm 27 years old, going for a second marriage, and a child by a third woman. We get married. This time I'm excited about this marriage. Now, when she came out of college, she was on welfare as a single mom. Worked hard, so I'm not saying that she's working a job where she was making maybe about $7 or something an hour. Living with a family member, you know what I'm saying? I come up to this new city. I get a full-time job, an apartment within 3 weeks of me living on my vehicle. But it is just me. When I get my apartment, you know, I give her a key, you know, so whenever she want to come over, she's more than welcome to. And, you know, I don't require the same of her circumstances, but this is what I'm giving her to let her know that she's special to me and that ain't nobody else around, ain't nothing else, whatever. That's all I was doing. Now, whether that energy reciprocated or not, but yes, I ignore red flags and signs like a stupid ass person would do, as many of us have done in our 20s. She finally gets a job. Her post-college job is a decent, it's a great organization, great company. She's not full-time. She's considered seasonal. That means she works so many months and then they furloughed or laid off for, you know, a few months, maybe 2 months or 3 months. So then if they want to bring them back, they bring them back. But she's working her way up. I'm proud of her. I'm working my way up through life. I'm proud of me. I want to put an emphasis on that. I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of me. I finally feel I don't know if I felt like it was a safe space or I wanted it to be my safe space. That's probably what it was. I wanted this to be my safe space. We get to coming up. I'm looking at it like collectively. She must have been seeing things as individually more than I thought. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, she go from making like $8 an hour to like 12 to 14, and I'm happy for her. I started off my first job at 10, then I started making eventually I started making like $13-14 an hour. You know what I'm saying? We just still, you know, coming up in our respective journeys, and you know, we have a family, we have children. I'm getting my children from my first marriage and everything, and we making it do what we can. And then her siblings come to live with us for about 4 years of our marriage. And then I remember then she started getting more career opportunities, and I thought that was dope. Me personally, you know, I'm like, I'm happy for you. But then money became an issue. We both working. I'm working doubles and triples because I was previously married, so you know I had to pay child support. And I'm doing all I can. I'm still trying to build up my goals and my visions for having a business and stuff. I do that. And then I remember one time we was visiting our hometown. Her and her cousin was drunk. And her cousin was upset that her man didn't come to our hometown for a wedding. And I didn't really want to go to the wedding either, but I didn't want to go because I didn't want to. I'm kind of shy, introverted. You know, I don't like to force a look or anything, you know. And, you know, some of the people around, they seem like they cared about how they look to people. But I'm going to go because that makes my wife happy. All this time, I usually try to do what makes my wife happy. You know, I hated doing things that didn't make her happy because when she wasn't happy, it was like horrible to be around her. If things didn't go perfect or the way she imagined, or you didn't respond in a certain way, like you would just thought somebody just took her life away or something like that, man. So instead of just being sad, angry, and disappointed, sad, disappointed, and then be anger and, you know, lashing out, and just, she was a bitch to be around when she was in that mood, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I probably, you know, I try to go closer, then she like, leave me alone, and you say that, then sure, I left your ass alone. But that was my protective bubble, just going to my shell of myself. But her cousin was drunk, and she go, Nelson. Now, at the time, her cousin worked for Cerner. Cerner no longer exists. They got bought out, and 33,000 people had unfortunately lost their jobs due to that acquisition. But at the time, her cousin said, Nelson, the only thing I don't like about you is you don't make enough money. Now, at the time, I just got a raise at my job. But when she said this, not the fact that she just said this, but she also said this in front of the woman I was married to. Now, I didn't want my wife to go off on her, curse her out, or beat her ass or nothing, but I just thought that was disrespectful. But the woman I was married to didn't say nothing. Later on, the woman I was married to, once again, because both women said they married me because I was ambitious, or, you know, they knew I wanted something in life. When I used to ask them, why you chose me? See, that's how I used to talk to them. Why did you choose me? I'm pursuing them. I'm like, why you choose me? They said, because, you know, you want something out of life, and, you know, you're ambitious. They both told me that at those different points in my life. And then they both left me because I didn't make enough money at that time period of my life. I'm not even 30 years old. I mean, when they met me. My second wife said, with my brain, I should have been a millionaire. We were separated. She told me that when I was about 33. And she was we agreed to move back to St. Louis so I could be close to my children for my first marriage, and plus her child's father there, our family members getting older. But she said, I can't move unless I make a job making at least $18 an hour, because my wife was making $4 more than me at that time. I didn't think that was a big of a deal. I don't even think she was making that $4, maybe about $4 more. I don't know. So I'm 33 years old when she tell me with my brain I should have been a millionaire. I was never fueled by money. I'm not anti-money, I just wasn't fueled by money. I just wanted a family. I wanted to be loved and loved back and stuff. And like I said, I ain't saying I was perfect and shit, you know. It's 3 sides to a story, you know. But I always did the best that I could with what I had and what I knew. And she refused to be with me at the age of 34. She filed for divorce when I was, maybe started paying like 30 when I was 35, 36 years old is when I first earned over $100,000 in my life. See, what happened was, by the time I was 30, I never made more than $25,000 to $30,000 a year, because I was a youth care worker working with kids in group homes. As I started tinkering, because I am ambitious, I never gave up, I never quit. My earnings were going up slowly but surely, but I'm seeing the projection, they're going up. So what I ended up doing was, I never quit. Different tools, technology, everything coming along. And when I hit over $100,000 in earnings, I was like, wow, my dream's coming true. I didn't cross over to the 6-figure mark. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just never gave up and quit. But now I was single. I'm not with nobody, you know, because they changed their mind about how they felt about me. And then I went on this self-sabotage route, because even though I was earning stuff, but now I'm hurting. So the increase in income just gave me more access to more food, which I'm on my way to the gym now, more alcohol, you know, a few more women to sleep with. And then I had a mental breakdown, because that whole life's journey, just one day it just piled up on me and I couldn't take it. Had a mental breakdown. Started self-sabotaging my business and everything. I started to see myself a lesser value. I started feeling like statistics, baggage, damaged goods. You know, it don't matter how many tickets I sold, how many shows I sold out or nothing, how many books I was selling, whatever. The areas of life that I wanted to win, I couldn't win in, or I wasn't winning in at that time. And it hurt my feelings. And I was forced to go to therapy, because I had hit such a low point that I had no choice but to go start seeking help. And I had to start unpacking things from the time I was a child up until today. So if anybody happen to watch this video, context matters. I get it. We can't have the time to hear everybody's story and situation, but context matters. Everything ain't exactly what you think it is with everybody.